Welcome to the AhaVah Effects, where love leads grounded in authenticity. I am Candace, your host, and I am here to say welcome. Tonight we have an amazing guest, one of many, part of the Becoming series, who is here to share her story with you. Please be engaged, ask questions. Just take an ear. Anything that you can glean and put in your pocket and save for later, do that. But as you know, on the AhaVah effect, first we have a few housekeeping rules. And so I'm going to bring up my disclosure and disclaimers, which basically say that the Becoming series is a series that just by definition is women and men and all type of people telling their stories to help grow you. In this case, we have three amazing women who have joined the platform to tell you things that they've been through, who they were, who they are today, and what they're looking forward to and who they're becoming. This is not related to any publications, any other podcasts, or any type of cinema that has been produced with the same name. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring up all the ladies in the room this evening, starting with Miss Toyshika Cooper.
Hi, I am so happy to be back on the AhaVah Effects, and I'm so happy to be having this one-on-one with Dr. Tanika Jackson-Richmond.
Yes, and without further ado, we are going to bring up the woman of the hour, Dr. Tanika Jackson Richmond. Hey,
Hi, how y'all doing tonight?
Hey, how are you
are
doing?
well. How are you?
All is all is well. I am blessed and highly favored, so I am good. How you ladies doing tonight?
We
Good,
are
good, good.
doing
I
great.
do have one comment. I just realized that Candace is in my house.
Yes, yes.
She's in
I
my
was
house.
looking at the stones on your fireplace, and I was going to ask you who put those up for you because it seemed like they put them up for me too.
Yes, right, right. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And so we're going to get started. Tonight will be the same as it has been in the Becoming series. We're going to ask a series of questions, and Dr. Richmond is going to give us some answers and drop some knowledge on us. Hopefully, we can glean from her, listen to her, learn from her. But if nothing else, just hoping that her story leads a Hava, with meaning it gives you love to keep it moving forward. Okay. On that note, Miss Cooper, we're gonna take you off stage, but bring you back during comments. We will see you later, girl.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, see you later.
All right. So, Dr. Richmond, tonight is the night. We already
Yeah.
established you're feeling good tonight.
Yes,
I also heard a little birdie tell me you have a birthday coming up.
yes, ma'am. So I have my 44th birthday. Will be in a few weeks. So every year when it's your birthday, you always I know I do. I like to reflect. So
Absolutely.
this these next few weeks will definitely be a lot of reflection and being thankful and grateful for the journey. Absolutely.
Well, we thank you for joining us in your birthday close to your birthday month, and we definitely appreciate you. So we're actually going to jump right in tonight, and the first question we have is basically so the title of the series, right, is called Becoming. Okay, so we know this. So can you share where you feel like if you were telling somebody your story, either to encourage them, empower them, or just because they were like, "What's your story?" Where would that begin for you?
Um, I think the story begins at the beginning. You know, the story begins at the beginning. Last night, I know I what's the last night? I was looking at some old clips of like my favorite movie is Color Purple. And I was looking at some old clips from Color Purple. Like I remember being a kid and I would watch that movie repeatedly, repetitive, like I can word for word. And as I got older and I started searching for a home, properties and looking at different properties, I went and looked at a different property every day for 8 months, every single day. Every day I looked at one property every day for about, I want to say about 7 or 8 months. And
Wow.
then, one day, of course, by now I'm frustrated. The house I live in now was put up for sale, and I went and looked at it. And but when I turned in, this property was different than everything else. When I turned into the property, I instantly knew I was home.
Mm.
It was just as I came down the driveway, and then I remember on the color purple, like I was like, I'm gonna have a house, and then you have the purple flowers. So as I
Yeah.
came down the driveway, there was those purple flowers from the color purple.
Oh, wow.
It was the purple flowers, and I knew in that moment I was home.
Wow.
8 months, 8 months, every day. Um, and it was a challenge even to close on the house and different things. And unfortunately, experienced some racism when it came to closing on my house and stuff. So it was very tough. But I didn't stop because I knew that it belonged to me. Like it was just in my spirit. Like I knew instantly this is the house that God has for me. And now it's 11 years later. 11
Ooh,
years later.
okay. So when did you, so that is a beautiful story, first of all. To see the purple flowers, that did it for me. I was
Yeah.
like, yes. Anybody who knows the color purple,
Yes. And
you
they
know.
still bloom now. Every year they
Wow.
bloom. And it just warms my heart every year as a reminder. But every year they bloom. And I'd be like, oh my God. So it always brings me joy when they bloom every year because it just keeps me reminded that, keep going.
I love that. And career wise, when do you think like you knew you what you wanted to do, or did you know, or did you kind of fall into, I don't want to say career because you do a lot of things. I would say your purpose because you do a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, I come from a family. My mom's a nurse. My older sister, who passed away from breast cancer, is a nurse, and some of my cousins, so a healthcare background. So, but when I was coming up, my parents never presented like you had a choice to go to college. Like it was presented that you graduated high school and you went to college, and that's what we did. I think I was maybe 21 when I realized I really didn't have to be here,
Mm.
but it was never presented that way. You graduated. Luckily, I went to school on a GI Bill. My stepdad was military, so we went right. I went right from high school, and then I enrolled in HCC right at 18.
That's
Started
right.
my classes. I originally wanted to be just a teacher, a educator, but not a nurse educator. Just I was going to school to be a teacher, and then at 20, I said, okay, well, I'm doing this. I went to CNA school. I was the valedictorian of my CNA class. And then a few months later, I went to nursing school. So I became a nurse at 21. It was years later, I think, probably, so that was like 2004, maybe 2014, 2015 is when I had the aha moment where the light bulb came on. I was working as a assistant director of nursing. So and in that role, you're an educator. So that's the role that actually made me wanting to move on and become an actual nursing professor. So and then from there, I went to the DON role. Of course, you're educating in those roles as well. But that was the moment. It was probably 2014, and then I enrolled at Walden for my master's in nursing education, and then went on to do my DNP. Now, in the midst of all of that, I was still running my own small business. I started running my CPR business in 2009, a few years
Mhm.
after my son passed away. So, of course, that's some education. But where I wanted to take it to another level is when I actually got my master's in nursing education.
Wow. So that is amazing, and it's an amazing story. And for you to say nurse at 21, that is something because 21 is that's an age where you're still trying to figure it out, right?
Hmm.
But from what I'm hearing you say, in your house there was already an establishment that
Absolutely.
you're going to do this, and then you're going to become basically.
Absolutely. My sister too, my older sister, she was a nurse at 21 too. Like, it wasn't negotiable
Right.
with my mom. It wasn't negotiable at all. As far as now, I don't think we had to necessarily go and be nurses,
Hmm.
um, but it wasn't going to college. Just wasn't.
Optional.
It wasn't optional.
I hear that. And then I think you talked a little bit about this in the introductory piece, but we were talking about how Little Angels as a business came to be. And if you like, I can actually I'll bring up your logo here to show everyone. So this is your Little Angels logo for your business, and you were telling us initially the story that kind of led to this.
Yes. So, Little Angels, this logo is the logos to Little Angels CPR and Healthcare Consultant. My logo has now been centralized for all my businesses. Also, on the group home, Little Angels Heavenly Hands, you'll
Mhm.
see the same logo as well for that. And then I own Little Angels Clear Lab, same logo. So I used to have a different logo, so I just centralized my logo and just put Little Angels. And then depending on which business I'm working with, I'll add, um, a piece at the bottom so you know which sector. So the company name is actual Little Angels Express Incorporated. That is the parent company name to all those other businesses. So those are all DBAs. So
Okay.
in 2007, my son, his name was Demetrius. He was actually born on MLK Day that year, so on Martin Luther King Day that year, and then he passed that same year on Easter Sunday. So he was 3 months old, um, and it was Easter Sunday, and we just put him down to bed just like I usually do, and someone knocked at the door. And I got up to answer the door, but it was kind of bizarre because it's a natural reflex for the baby to be startled.
Mhm.
And so I opened the door and then I come back to the room and I instantly picked him up because most babies are going to be startled when you hear a knock or something like that. And he was still warm, but he was limp.
Mm.
So I had to do CPR on him. So by then I had probably been a nurse maybe 3 or 4 years, but that was my first time doing CPR. Was on my own baby. So unfortunately, he didn't make it. So me and my sister, so my sister that passed away, her name was Keisha. She owned a training center business as well. Actually, I would say I won't even take the credit of starting the business. It was really all her idea. So she kind of just we are 4 years apart. So she always took me along for the ride. So she was the true entrepreneur. It was never really my idea. It was more hers. So she owned a company called Nurse Express Incorporated. And then my company name was Little Angels Express Incorporated, but it was really her idea to start a CPR business. So she started her business. I started mine. And then we pretty much did everything together. We started our business together. We graduated in the same RN class. We went to school together. The school we went to, we kind of started that whole trend of, because in the same class, it was me, my sister, and my mom in the same exact RN class. So and that's kind of like a trend now. I work now at that college as an instructor. Um, but we started it, and for me, it gave purpose again. It really gave purpose again. After he passed away, I moved away to Orlando, Florida, for a few years, and just couldn't breathe here in Tampa. Just needed to walk away. And then I met a patient, one of my patients. So I was an LPN working in a nursing home, and one of my patients, she was blind. Her name was Mrs. Poole, and she requested that someone read the Bible to her every day at 2 o'clock, and
Mm.
nobody wanted to read to her. She was a little bit on the difficult side, but we actually got along very well. So every day we read the Bible for about a year at 2 o'clock. That was her activity, and that's how I learned the Bible, and then that's how I also started to heal. And then so I did that for maybe about a year. I was there maybe a year, maybe almost 2 years. And one day I walked in, and Mrs. Poole, because I hadn't shared with everybody how I ended up in Orlando. But she just said, Tanika, God told me to tell you, you got to go home.
Mm.
Whatever you're
Oh
running.
my gosh.
And again, she's total care, can't walk, she can talk, but she's blind. But she knew the word of God. And that's what she told me. She said, God told me to tell you that you can't run no more. You got to go back home.
Mm.
That's how I took that advice, and that's how I ended up back here in Tampa in 2009. And then that's when I opened Little Angel, it was originally Little Angels mobile CPR. So we started out doing mobile classes. I didn't have an office, going to facilities, people's homes. So I started out
Mhm.
mobile, 100% mobile. Now it's 2026, and um, I have a full training center that I've built on my property. So, I tell people start small. Like a lot of people want to jump and start really big, but it's not how it's designed to be. We all have to start at the beginning and build character and work hard and be consistent and be disciplined. And if you do those things, it will pay off in the end.
No,
Absolutely, it will pay
I
off.
believe that 100%. And I think I thank you for sharing that first of all, because a lot of times also I think people will often say, and I hear this, and you could tell me if you hear it, but like when somebody, oh, you a nurse, oh yeah, she make a lot of money and she just and this is what I encourage anyone watching this series or our this channel. Please understand, be careful speaking over people's stories because you don't know them. Please be careful. So sometimes what can happen is it can be assumed, for example, that because someone has a certain walk of life, whether that's their faith or whether that's their profession, it is assumed sometimes, and this is how it comes across, so I could be wrong, that they haven't been through anything. I
Absolutely.
tell people all the time, people who are in a certain place in life, no one gave it to them. It wasn't given. And so, if it's understood that you're not going to be given success, that you will have to achieve it, that you will have to work, that you will have to find your village, then you'll do great. Am I wrong, Dr. Richmond?
Absolutely. You have to, and I think it's like a microwave society. Everybody, okay, I'm in school, I'm in nursing school, I showed up. Did you read the book? How many hours do you study?
Mm-hmm.
It comes with a lot. I remember, I'm like what you call a professional student. I've been in school my whole life, more in school than not in school. But I studied every day. I would be up in the garage, studying. So it's quiet in the house for my kids. Whether I lived in um, a duplex or a bigger home or a larger home. The garage is where I studied for probably the last 20 years, writing papers just to make sure, that it's quiet for the kids. So you have to really, really, really work at it if you want it. I think, too, a lot of people see um, social media and then they see the end game. They see the graduation, they see those things, but they don't see that the real struggle that it took to get there. Whether it be, I remember one time when I had an exam and my car broke down at my
Oh,
daycare center. I
oh,
left the car right in the middle of the road and called a ride to school. And I was like, I'm so sorry. So sorry. I gotta go. I gotta take this test. I'll be back to figure out the car. Like, most people be like, oh, my car broke. I'm not going. No, baby, I'm leaving this car right here. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'm so sorry, but I'll be back. And then I had all four of my I have four kids. I had all my kids. Were all my kids were born on a Friday between midnight and 12:15.
what?
Monday morning, I was back at school. I covered myself up, put on my hat. I went back to school. And with every last one of my children, I was always enrolled in school and went right back to class. I would come back. Um, and I would be like, I'm pushing them out because if you do a C-section, you might stay a little longer. No, sir, we're not doing no C-sections. Next class is Monday or Tuesday, and I would be sitting back in the classroom. The commitment was real,
Yeah.
um, and with all four of my children, I went
Wow.
right back to class and finished my classes. Now I can say now when my second son, when he passed away, I went back to school, but of course he ended up passing away during that semester. So that was the one semester
Mhm.
that I did end up, dropping out, and I didn't finish that semester, of course. But still went back. So I had him January 19th, probably 21st, 22nd. I'm sitting in the classroom.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's a different kind of strength, y'all.
Hmm.
Okay, that's a different kind of push, persevere. Okay, so hearing that, I'll take y'all questions in a little bit. So the second question I have is, so who do you feel has been the most influential in shaping who you are now, and why would you How so, and why would you say this person?
Um, who I am now, it's definitely my mom.
Okay.
Like, my mom's a nurse. My mom's a LPN. She's been working in corrections. She's my mom's a nurse. She also was a correction officer.
Okay.
My stepdad was military, so I grew up in a very disciplined environment. But I
Mhm.
think it's gonna be probably my mom. She is just like that one person. Like I said, I had my kids on Friday and went back to school Tuesday. My mama quit her job to watch grandkids
Wow.
so kids can go to school. Like my mom dropped out of RN school and let us move forward so we can finish school. So I was able to go right back to school because my mom has always been there. She gets her grandkids. She does whatever she needs to do to make sure her children and her grandchildren move forward in life. And so she's definitely it. So it's always an honor and pleasure. So now I've built my mom a studio onto my house. I took the garage and converted it to a studio for her, and it's just an honor and pleasure for her to be here. But more than that, for her to no longer have to work hard, to not have to worry about rent, lights, water. She in there eating snow crabs right now. When you sacrifice and you put up that type of sacrifice for not just me, but my mom had 4 daughters, so for all of us,
Hmm.
sacrifice has always been real. And with every trial and tribulation, she will walk away from her job any day of the week to make sure her children and grandchildren have. And when you have that kind of support system, again, hard work pays off. And so now she's in a position that she put in the work. And so now she gets to enjoy the rest of her life, eating crabs all day and watching soap operas or she like watching them African movies and stuff. So I love that for her. But there's nobody more deserving
Yeah,
because each
absolutely.
and every time she has showed up, showed out, and put um, her own personal, her own what the word I'm looking for, her own successes, her own
Postpone
goals,
her own journey. Yeah.
journey aside to make sure that we make it. And
Right.
so yeah, so my mom is it. She is the most loyal person. Good, bad, and indifferent. It don't even matter what the grandchildren did. She's still riding with them. It don't matter. She's
Right.
the most loyal person you'll ever meet. So I'm grateful for my mom. And then she also has her own story and her own
Mhm.
journey, and to be able to raise children. She was eventually married, but she started off as a single mom too, and raised her kids, and everybody turned out successful. That's a
Mhm.
great accomplishment.
It absolutely is. And I also want to pause to say to every single mother everywhere who may be watching
Uh-oh,
now
you're
or who
breaking
may
up.
watch this later, we salute you. We are here for you. I will consider myself part of your village, although I'm no longer a single mother. But we honor you. And to Dr. Richmond's mama, thank you for sharing her with us.
Awesome.
Yes. So, okay, what are three things that you prioritize in your life today? Like, and are these priorities different than three things you would have prioritized in the last 5 years?
Yes. So probably 5 years ago, I was still, I got married in 2020. So probably before I got married, I was probably what you would consider a single mother. Now their fathers are involved and we co-parent together. But as far as running my own house and paying my own bills. So I bought this property in 2015. So I had already owned it when I got married in 2020. So my goal then was, raising my kids, making sure I could pay my rent, my lights, my
Mhm.
water, those type of things. So now that I'm married, my goals were able to shift because my husband's a great provider. So I don't have to worry about the rent, the lights, the water, all of those things. I can focus more on the children, making sure that they get what they need, making sure they get to go to college, helping them live out their dreams. More focused on expanding my businesses and being more creative when it comes to business, and then really trying to push my nonprofit, being able to help other people. So 5 years ago, it was more still survival mode. I was a nurse, but you just never know what happens in life. So things happen in life. So I bought my house in 2015, but then my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. So I put my 6-figure job, I quit, and I took care of my sister. bringing her home to make sure her needs were met. So shortly after I had just purchased this house. So, um, but we'll figure it out, right? So, but she wasn't going to no nursing home. I know that, and that was never going to happen. It never did happen. So I was able to. I own the house, but I walked away, and then with the grace of God and a lot of support, community support. My mom, she moved out of her apartment and moved in to the house with me. One of my other sisters, she's a CNA and an activities director. She moved in as well with me, so they still continue to work. But I stayed home with my sister, and then of course I was still running my own small business. So I was when there were other people there with her. Family members would come. I could still teach, some classes here and there. Uh-oh, we kind of timed out.
Yeah, a little bit, but you're okay. You were saying you were still teaching some classes here and there.
Yeah, here and there. I was actually finishing my master's. I was doing my last class, in practicum, my master's in nursing education, and I was gonna drop that term. And my sister was like, "No, you need to keep going to school. You're gonna have to take care of all these kids." She was very fully aware of, that we were coming to the end. And but yeah, I just walked away, and I believe in God, and I believe in what you put in the world is what you get back. And each and every time I've had a tragedy or something heartbreaking in my life, I don't even think about it, the money and the financial piece that comes with it or the loss. I
Mhm.
think about the assignment that God has put in front of me, and so I know if it's been appointed to me, He'll see me through it. So, and
Mhm.
I've done that with my sister, losing my dad, losing her oldest daughter, her only daughter, and then her youngest son. So with all four of them, it was never a matter of, okay, I got to go to work. None of that stuff matters to me. I'm not a materialistic person either. I have a lot, and but that's probably why I have a lot, because I'm not materialistic. Like, I don't focus on those things. I focus more on people, and making sure I'm obedient to the word, and investing back into myself, investing into my children. I'm all about people, not things. And
Mhm.
that, I think, is why I have a lot of things, because it's not that important to me.
Right. And I love that. I love that you said that because I think sometimes people, we sometimes, or people in general, can get so caught up with
Yeah.
two things. I would say the what if,
Mhm.
right? And the what happens when, right? And so I appreciate you saying that because what I have learned is the same is that if actually you just focus more on the assignment and whatever that is, I mean, the AhaVah way would say the assignment is to love on people, right? To give of
Mhm.
yourself for people, and 90% of the time without expectation of return. Really, the only return we should expect, if you're in the word at all, is like that we just love each other, we love God, right, and that's it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a lot of times, sometimes we give with expectation. And what's not great about that, so that's why I use the term ahava, because you're giving kind of, it's transformational. I'm not expecting anything back from you. Somebody gave of themselves to me, and I feel it is now my responsibility, it is my calling to give of myself to you, or to give you a story or to give you a background. So I love that, Tanika, that you said that because it's like, of course, God is going to return everything to you that you didn't expect or that you don't really
And
ask for,
more.
and
And
more. Yeah, yeah.
more. It'll be far bigger than you ever imagined. Like, I say that all the time. I just wanted to be able to take care of my kids, and just, just pay my bills. And it has turned into something far bigger than I ever imagined it to be.
And it sounds like with what He gave you, you took care of your kids and some kids and some
Kids,
your sister, and so that is just such a blessing to hear, right? Just to
right.
remember. Yeah. Can you identify like two challenges maybe that you faced on your journey and how you've overcome them? Are you still working on them? But two things that you were like, you think the audience would benefit from hearing about. Two challenges you may have had.
Um, Probably the one of the probably the hardest challenge is just letting go. Like I think I said that on the last
Mhm.
segment. Like just really, learning how to take things for what they are. Sometimes we get caught up with trying to change people, and we want to bring these people along with us for the journey. And the reality is that ain't what God. That ain't what He wants. And a lot
Mhm.
of times things aren't working out in people's life because you're bringing people along that's not meant to go with you.
Mhm.
They ain't meant to come. And
Right.
we may want them to come, but life is not about what we want. It is what God says we need.
Right.
And so we all may have our high school sweetheart, and we're gonna work it out, and it's gonna be this and that. Sometimes it's just not that, and that's okay. So I think a lot of people struggle and stay stagnant, and I did for a long time. Is learning how to let people go, learning how to let people be, whether they're in turmoil or whether they are whatever they're going through. You can't save everybody. And now I move by appointment. If God puts it in my spirit to show up and do what I need to do for that person, I do. And that's the only way that I move. I don't listen to the sob stories anymore, or the phone calls and oh, I need this and this happened. You said that 5 years ago.
Say
You
that.
said that 10 years ago. Hell, some of y'all said it 25 years ago. Like, I can't invest in that kind of stuff no more. So, I would love to help everybody, but I'm all about helping those who want to help themselves. And that's where I'm at now, because I can't sit on the phone and listen to everybody's sad story, because it's the same story from a long time ago. Like, oh, y'all still doing the same thing 25 years ago. So I move from the spirit. Everything I do comes completely from the spirit. I don't move until God say move.
That's it.
Just like I said, the color, the flowers of the color purple. Like I kept looking, but it was so significant, and people like, oh, that's not so, baby, that's significant. That I have been sitting since I was 8 years old, and I knew I was gonna have a house that was like that with a barn, and I knew I was gonna have chickens and live on the farm and all of those things. And it was just simple flowers that sealed the deal. So things like that, I moved from the spirit. So let go, just learn how to let go, and also listen to your inner self. The
Mhm.
spirit does not lie. The intuition is there.
Mhm.
It's that uncomfortableness. If you're uncomfortable, God is working. He wants you to be uncomfortable. You
Tell me.
won't you won't move and change until you're uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I thrive to be uncomfortable, but because I know that something's gonna big is gonna happen. I know
Mhm.
change is gonna come. Things are gonna happen. So when you are uncomfortable, listen to that inner self, and it will guide you. We just don't listen. We want to listen to man and social media. You don't need none of that. Listen to your inner self. Move from the spirit, and the spirit won't let you down. It's the people that let you down. It's not the spirit. So I
Say
would think that let go, and then just move from the spirit. Move from the
yes,
spirit.
ma'am. And that let go, I listen, that's one I've had to work on as well. And the thing is, people always say, what you mean, let go of people? No, sometimes we have to let go of what we're trying to control, because you can't
Mhm.
blame the people if you keep holding on. A lot of times
Right,
we control how we respond, right?
right,
So you're not letting go of the person, you're letting go of that thought that you can control the situation. You can't.
right.
That you can change the person. You can't.
It ain't even just the people. Let go of the car payment that you can't pay.
Say
Let,
that.
let go of that expensive apartment that you can't pay.
Now I gotta
Let
clean my
go of
glasses.
that. Let go of that partner that's not supportive. Okay, it's letting go of all of it. Let go of them kids ain't listening. Sometimes the world got to teach them. Let them go. You got to let it go. So you want to try to be there for people, but at some point you got to choose you, because if you're not healthy and you're not in good mind and mental health, you're not beneficial to them anyway.
Hmm. And
Um,
also,
so, yeah,
tell people this all the time. If it ain't good, it ain't God. So at the end of the day, if
yeah,
it's something causing you turmoil, causing you duress, causing you
right.
anxiety, if it's something that you're losing sleep over, you're losing hair over, you're losing money over, okay, and the money's not going to charity or the church, it's
Right.
probably not what He
It's
wants you
not
to do.
worth it. Right.
No. And so we're going to release control.
Amen. Let
So,
it go.
and I'm talking to me, y'all, because trust me, that is something I'm still having to work on daily. That
Yeah.
I am not in control. I am not in control, and it's okay. So thank you, Dr. Richmond, for getting us together real quick. We're going to take a couple questions from the audience, and I'm going to bring one up from Verna Johnson, 3545, who asks, what is your advice to a person who wants to start a practice to start working with youth and opening a group home? How do you start?
So there are different types of group homes in the community. Most people just know, okay, I want to open a group home. So you have APD group homes, you have DCF group homes, you have safe homes, you have wilderness homes, you have assisted living facilities, you have family care homes. So I would start by identifying which type of community-based facility you want to run. You have substance abuse. There's so many of them. So I do consulting for those who want to do group home startups, and that's usually where we start is going over the different types of community-based facility, and then you picking which one would work for what your vision is. So that would probably be the first thing to do, or start researching yourself. Just going on Google. What are the community-based facilities here in Florida? You'll see different ones pop up. There's all kind of YouTube videos, those type of things that you can look at. So you first have to identify which one you're actually interested in. Then from there, you're going to want to, you need a location. So do you have a house? Or are you doing it in an apartment? So, you can do, there is supported living in community-based facilities and apartments. So you got to have a location, because when you go to submit the request to open up that group home, you need an address. Are you going to use your own house, which is fine. Some people start off with their own house if they already own the house, and they start there, which is a great place to start. And then you can back your way out. If you're going to use a different place, do keep in mind you have to pay all the bills in that location as for your own personal home. And the group home process can take about a year from beginning to end. So, and then of course, do you have the revenue? So when you opening up any type of community-based facility, you're required to have usually three times the amount that it takes to manage that facility. So say your budget is $10,000 a month, you have to have 3 months worth of income. So that means when you start that facility, you need $30,000 on hand. Medicaid do not pay out right away. It may be several months. There's some people I know that's been waiting on Medicaid payout for 4, 5, 6 months. You have to still be able to run that facility. So start with that. What you want to do, I think it's, she said children. If you're going to do children, then you can, she said working with the youth. So you can do group homes, have children. DCF has programs for children. Safe homes are really big right now. They're wanting people to take kids that have been human trafficked. That's a great place to start. I actually just finished my last class last night for safe home. So I'm deciding. So I finished the curriculum, and then I just have to do the licensing piece, and I'll have my house, my home here licensed as a safe home. So I don't know if I'm going to actually take patients or kids, but in the event I want to, I'll be licensed to do so. So yeah, I would start there. APD also do Agency for Persons with Disability. They're a government agency, and then they do juveniles, children as well. So either DCF or APD is what I would recommend that you look at.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So we didn't have a whole lot of questions, but I'm going to give you all your flowers. So Verna Johnson 3545 says, happy birthday, Queen.
Thank you, girl.
And then Glam Dolls at Glam Dolls Boutique says, happy early birthday. Thank y'all for being on here, and y'all so sweet. And then I have at 227 Michelle says, hello. Hey girl, hey.
Michelle.
And then Glam Dolls commented a little later, and she says, yes, should never judge someone until you know their story. Okay.
Absolutely. And I get that a lot. People be like, oh, I wish I had this. No, you don't. You don't want my life. You don't want this. You don't, this life comes with a whole lot of pain. So people just see what they see around. Oh, this is beautiful. I would love to have something like this, but this derived from a whole lot of pain. Right. So yeah, I'd be like, girl, you don't want this, you don't want what comes with this, how I got here.
Right.
So you have to be careful what you ask for. But yeah,
And then I also do tell people, like, be careful saying that. It's kind of disrespectful to God because it's only one of you, right?
right,
Your story is unique to you. So sometimes I think I try to change it up too, where I say, I really like your house instead of I wish, or I really like how you did this. I really like how that came together for you. But
right,
basically, when you're telling somebody that you want something they have, it's legit kind of a slap in the face to God because your story's still being written. What if
right.
your house gonna be better than mine?
Amen.
Okay, wait for
Yeah,
yours. Just
you're
wait.
right.
Your story is still being written. Wait for yours. Okay, because it's not going to be the same as mine. It might be better. Okay.
Amen. Okay.
What? So I tell people, don't do that. Don't covet what I have. God might have something better for you.
For
Like,
you,
don't
you're
let it
completely different. Yeah, and we all have different journeys.
And with
I
less
think
struggle. You might
yeah,
have less struggle than I had.
that's correct. My mom tell me all the time. She's like, God gave you this house because one thing about she said you share with everybody. I do a lot of
Mhm.
repasses, so like people if they can't afford to do the repass after funeral, I host a lot of repasses. I'm kind to people. I'm very open and welcoming to people. The person who owned this house before me was not so welcoming, from what I hear, and they want people to come on their land and all of that. And I'm the complete opposite. I welcome people to come and be inspired and to talk and if I can be of help or service to be so. And she always told me, she said, God gave you this. He gave it to the right person because it take a certain kind of person to share their home with so many
Mhm.
people.
No, absolutely. And he'll never, when you get blessed, it's to bless someone else. Yeah, I do know that. Some of it's for you, but very little really is for
Right.
you. The
Just
rest is for push forward.
mm-hmm.
So Verna Johnson 3545 said, even in the struggle to continue in the profession. So I think she was speaking about when you were talking about your mom and then when you had your babies, basically looking at that's probably a compliment, like even with all that to keep going. So that's an amazing thing. And then at one, I think it's Noah's mom said that I think she was talking about when your mom maybe just put up and postponed things and moved things around to make sure her babies were saw it through. So hi at Noah's mom. You
I
cute
know.
though. Thank you for being on today. It does take a village, but that is true sacrifice, and I love that. I love that your mom just
Yeah.
I I don't know what I would do without my mom either. So I'm with you.
Right, right. Yeah, my mom was everything. And then and not to discredit, like, so my kids' fathers, they helped a lot too.
Hmm.
Honestly, I can't even deny it. I think sometimes, especially now that we're older and I go back and I be hearing some people like, oh, they don't do anything. My kids' fathers helped a lot. Um, when it came to any and everything. Even now, like, if I have a problem, I can call them and they both are going to come and be of service. So I'm glad we didn't work out as couples, but we definitely work out well as co-parents, and so that was a big piece too. So when, like Noah's mom said, it takes a village. My kids' fathers were very, very helpful for me to get ahead. They
Hmm.
always, and then so I have two kids' fathers. So three of my kids have their dad, and then one of my third son has his own dad, but it didn't matter. When they came and got them, they came and got all of them.
That's
So
right.
for a lot of years, until they got older, they didn't even realize that they just had two daddies. And they used to call them daddy number one and daddy number two. They're teenagers now. But I think that's a blessing too, is having children with people that, make sure you're friends with the person that you have kids with. A lot of times people have kids with people and then things go left, and the reality is y'all were dating but you were never friends.
Right.
Friends is what keep you grounded and where you can co-parent together and do whatever needs to be done. So I would say my mom, and then second my kids' fathers, just both being there, open to whatever my foolishness was. They were right there. Okay, Tanika, what you want to do now? Okay, and then of course my husband coming in, and just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and him, showing me what it feels like to truly be loved and to be a wife. And so I would say those four people, my mom, earlier in life, my kids' fathers, sacrificing sometimes their own careers to
Yeah.
make sure I had my career. And then my husband as well, just he's just like, I'm spoiled princess. Like, I think every woman wants to get that feeling of what it feels like.
Hmm.
And my God, I'm like, God just dropped them from the heaven above. You know,
I
where
hear that.
come from? So all of those things. So just be mindful of who you parent with, who you have kids with. Become friends first, because if it doesn't work out, you can still be friends. But if y'all was never friends, that's why people are like, I ain't never speak to them. We were friends before we were, dating 4 or 5 years before we had our first baby. So we were friends. So
Hmm.
now we're and as when we separated, which was fine, but we still generally remain friends. Don't mean that everything was perfect, but we loved each other enough to know that we needed to make sure that our children were okay, and that sometimes things don't work out. So I'm thankful for both my kids' fathers. Like, I can call them and they get along. Like on holidays, my husband and my kids' father, everybody's here.
I love that.
Everybody in the living room getting on my nerves. Okay, y'all can all go home. Okay, y'all can go home. Take your plate with you. But that's the kind of relationship that we have. Everybody's respectful. Everybody know their role. And then I think it's a big piece is that um, they know that I'm a good person. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, it's hard to be mad at good people. I think that's what it is for them. Like, dang, this lady get on my nerve, but she's a good person. So, but that's how it is, and all our kids are there. Even their kids from other women, like everybody. My house is that go to. So he's there with our kids, but he's has an ex-wife. He brings her kids. Like, we just all do what we do, and family is family, and make sure our kids have what they need. All of them have what they need. So I do love that we have that kind of relationship.
I love that too. And I love that basically what you're doing for us is you're displaying, you are the example of the village concept. What you're telling us right now is the example, right? It's not, what I'm speaking about and what I feel like AhaVah represents. You're giving us a prime example of that, is that we just come outside of ourselves to create that for the next generation, right? It doesn't have to be what.
Yeah,
I
and to
definitely have to say what you just said, Dr. Jackson-Richmond. I concur with that because I myself am divorced, been divorced since 2018, and I get along extremely well with my ex-husband and his current girlfriend.
mhm,
My daughter just had a birthday recently, and they were over celebrating with some of her friends. And
right.
I'm at peace with it, and he's at peace with it, and we're both two mature adults. One of the things I decided was there's a lot of places I want to put my energy, and it's
And
not in
that's
him and his
it.
relationship.
Amen.
So I have other places to place this energy I have because I have a lot, and it's not over there. So what we had is what we had, and where I'm at is where I'm at, and it's not with him. So I
Yeah,
definitely believe being mature about it and seeing things in an adult perspective is where it needs to be at.
absolutely.
So I definitely love the fact that the village concept and being able to see beyond what you had to being able to see where you are right now. And y'all are two parents and you're co-parenting for the parents of the child, not for each other in the relationship you had.
Hmm. Right, right. Focus on the prize. That's getting these young people up and out, productive people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And that's what it is. So, yeah, it can happen. I think people just and then people are so close minded.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and people hold on to grudges. Like, I'm not saying they was the greatest people because they did some silly stuff back in the day. You know what I mean? But you gotta forgive. And then you also have to be open minded to know that sometimes they weren't raised right. Maybe they didn't have a father and then they weren't able to initially be a good dad. Maybe, I had to kind of reflect. Like, I grew up in a very good household, and my mom, like I said, was a nurse, and I grew up very spoiled. And in a lot, and then my husband told me now, he was like, everybody ain't had no refrigerator in their room. Sit down somewhere. Like, I was like, I had a refrigerator in my room at 10 years old. I had my own phone line. I still remember my phone number right now to this day. We had our own phone lines. He was like, girl, ain't nobody had that. And I'm like, you sure? He was like, yeah, you don't sit down somewhere. So like I had to put myself in perspective that a lot of things that I had a GI Bill. Everybody ain't getting a check every month to go to school nowhere, just putting my own self in check and like that. Dang, I've been really blessed, but that's not everybody's story.
Mm-mm.
And so in having to give people grace. So I think in my early 20s, I probably should have given, especially like my kid's father, a little bit more leeway. You know what I'm saying? Because we grew up completely different, and my expectations of him, and I'm just being brutally honest, was not fair to him. I know that now at 44 years old, but that's not the same when you're 22 and you're spoiled and you're stepdated by everything and you got this and you got that. Just being fair to people. And we've talked about it, and I've apologized, I'm sure, and he's apologized for the things he's done as well. And but it just wasn't fair. Like, it wasn't a even playing field. I had a huge amount of support, and he didn't, and his was limited, and I'm expecting him to produce all these things with these limited resources was unrealistic and was unfair. So, and that's what growth do. Growth bring you full circle to say, hold up, girl, you're doing too much, right? So,
but it also shows you your shortcomings, and you grow from that. And then you grow from the understanding that we're all different and that we have to meet somewhere in the middle. And then whatever you had, that leads you to where you are now. So I had to look at a lot of things about myself and my family as well. And one of the things I realized is that as people, we don't establish solid boundaries. We got them scattered line boundaries where every now and then they can slide through one of those little slits. When you need to uphold the boundaries, one for yourself and then the boundaries for your others. Not saying that you have to say no to everything or just be mad or hold a grudge, but understanding that, you have to make sure that you're happy, loved for yourself so you can actually reciprocate and give that to others. I'm still kind of learning a little bit about that. I'm still trying to get myself on about that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah. That happens. That definitely happens.
Yes, it does. So that's something that is extremely, life is, I have to remind people that I am a teacher, but I'm also a student. So I'm always going to be learning. I did not come out the womb knowing everything, because if I did, I wouldn't be where I am now. But I'm steady growing and I'm learning every day. Every day I'm learning and I'm utilizing the new knowledge that I have to be better than who I was 5-10 years ago.
Absolutely.
I hear that.
Yeah.
We do have one more question before we end the break. And this one is to the group from @0227 Michelle. She says, how do you stay so diligent when you feel that there have been many obstacles to knock you down? So I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Richmond.
I think, God, we all have superpowers, right? God gives us something that we're good at. And for me, it's taking my pain and turning it into purpose. So I just know that, God, he says that he'll always be there. He's never let me down. Like, so I just trust I just trust in God. And I know that at the end of the day, he'll have the final say. So whether I like it or not, part of being obedient is accepting what is. So, and then finding ways to just either, whether it be the loss of someone, finding ways to, you know, memorabilia about that person, or finding ways to cope with death, I think is a big piece of it. For me, it was originally opening up a training center. Now I just said I finished my DCF, my foster home classes. That's stemming from, so with my sister kids, they live with their dad. I was their aunt, but I was able to see firsthand what it looks like when children lose their mother. Though I love them dearly and they love me dearly, I'm not their mother. And no matter what I tried to do, I couldn't fix that ache in their heart. So in this chapter, being a foster parent or choosing to be a foster mom, pushing more with my nonprofit, even becoming a mental health nurse practitioner, all stem from watching her children grow through the grief process of losing a mother. Because I never wanted to be a nurse practitioner. I'm an educator. It never really crossed my mind until I was able to see how it affected them tremendously. My niece, she passed away because she was depressed. They put her on an antidepressant, and then she had an anaphylactic reaction to the medication. Still stemming 6 years later. She died almost 6 years to the exact day of her mom. So it's 6 years later, and she's still struggling with it. My nephew, he lived with his dad, and it's unfortunately his senior year. I had asked his dad if could he come live with me, because he was really not really struggling, but my kids were advancing faster than him because his dad had limited resources. So he's like 18, he don't have his driver's license yet. My son is 16, he's driving. So I was like, well, let me get him for the last year and let me get him caught up. So that's a lot to see. I'm the older cousin, and the younger cousins are passing me by because I don't have a good support system. So when he passed away, he was riding an electric scooter, coming back from a job interview from Busch Gardens, and he crossed the street. But the reality is if he was here, it wouldn't have been no electric scooter. We take kids to work. We Uber kids to work over here. We got cars over here. Or if my sister was here, he would already have a car. I actually held on to my sister's truck and fixed it up, did everything to it, and I was going to give it back to him. That was going to be his graduation gift. But he needed his dad to get his ID and all of these, so I can only do so much as an auntie. And so just watching kids, how it plays out when they don't have the support system they need, or when they lose their mother. So this next drive of my life is to help as many children um, get what they need, especially those that have lost one parent, two parents, because it is imperative. And unfortunately, it resulted in their demise.
Ms. Cooper, do you have anything to add?
I'm just touched by what she just said.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I was trying to find some words to come at, and then you
yeah. I'm just sitting here because, ooh, how I stay so diligent. I definitely had to say that for me, it's a little bit totally different. I I used a lot of my passion and my drive to succeed and move forward. I my family was raised a little different. When I tell people that I started in the projects and now I'm here, they're just like, I don't see it. But I have to be honest that, my mother did start in the projects, lived 2 apartments down from my grandmother. And when she met she already has always known my father since third grade. And they finally got married when I was 10. He moved us from North Carolina to Florida, and then we moved into a home eventually. So from about 12 years old until now, I have always lived in a house with my own room, with a bathroom that I share with my sister. I mean, I have always had my own just about. So for me, a lot of my passion now is just relearning who I am and understanding some of my own personal issues. I haven't had anything as Dr. Richmond, but I have had my own share. So with some of my trauma, I have been able to place some of my anger and discord into writing, something I would have never thought I would ever do in my life, but I'm doing it now. And it gives me great comfort and pleasure to actually write out what it is that I have gone through, that eventually, hopefully that will help someone else. And from what I could tell, it has been helping others. So that is some of the many things I have done. And one of the things I always try to remind myself is to get out of my own way, because no one is stopping us from moving but us. So I have to remind myself that true enough, fear is there, but it's a fear of the unknown. Until I can step on it and move past it.
There you go. So
Yeah.
you've heard from both of these ladies that use it to fuel you. Use
Mhm.
it to find that thing that's in you that will move you from off the floor. Because first thing we got to do is get up. And if you can't get up by yourself, put your hand out so somebody can pull you up. Because we don't do that well.
Mhm.
Sometimes we rather lay there than say, I need.
Yeah.
And I don't say me because I'm one of those people. Well, if you lay there, you're gonna be there a while. So you sometimes you have to put that hand out. And it might not be I need money, I need this. It might be I need prayer. I need you to tell me how to get to this next step in my career. I need you to tell me how you did school full time with kids and a job. I need whatever it is, but sometimes we gotta form those words in our mouth like I need. And sometimes it needs to be less maybe objective things and more like a resource. Like, how do I? Because what you'll learn about people as well is that they're very willing to help you, but that has to include some self help. So you have to be willing to use those resources. Okay.
One of the things I noticed real quick is sometimes people just need the space, just the space to vent. They don't need advice.
Right.
They do not want your opinion. They just need to feel safe and secure in that space to just vent. And once they get it out, then they're like, okay, I feel better. And that's something that's really hard for us sometimes because sometimes I feel like I'm not a therapist. So I can't help you. But then they're not really asking for that advice. They're just asking for that space for someone to just listen. They just want someone to listen to what they have going on. And that's it.
And that is why we are here. So, along those lines, if you have something that you want us to listen to, drop it in the comments and we'll get to that at our next break. So, we're going to get back on with Dr. Richmond and then we'll bring Miss Cooper up a little later.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Richmond, what would you consider at this point your greatest accomplishment?
Um, of course, it would probably be my children and my nieces and nephews. Like just the children like of my family is definitely probably the greatest accomplishment. Just seeing them all grow up and like my daughter, she's running a child care center now, and then she had her first graduation for the kids at her daycare, and just seeing them grow up. And then one of my sons, he'll graduate next year and go off and play football. He just texted me and it was so cute. He was like, "Mom, I sent you the money. I paid my car insurance." Like,
Okay.
to see your kids grow up, like not me having to call you and say, "Hey, where's your money at?" Like, just seeing kids grow up. My niece, one of my other nieces, she works now at the child care center that my daughter is the director at. So it's just nice seeing them all grow up and coming into their own personalities and being their own people. So and them being well rounded and being able to manage life, and all of them have worked in my office at some point. So being able to have a resume and they already have clerical skills and they know how to set up for classes and they know
Mhm.
how to, how entrepreneurship works, and, you know, they just know how to operate stuff and run a business even at their young age. I had to figure it out and made a lot of mistakes along the way, but to be able to pass that knowledge on to them without them having to recreate the wheel and is a great thing. It's an amazing thing.
It's invaluable, really. Do you have any advice for those in the audience who may be struggling like with that next step? Like with their, and I'm not sure, and I know that could be a very kind of open-ended question. But I could say personally or professionally, like what would your advice to that person be, male or female?
Um, you have to put things on paper. I think people like to hold it all in their mind and in their brain.
Mhm.
And I write my goals down. I wish I could show you my goals for it, but and I'll show you what it look. I should go get it. But I like to write my stuff down. I write my stuff down on a dry erase board now. But even if you just create what we call a homework sheet, every single day you should be writing your goals down. And the things that you can accomplish, cross them off. Don't remove the things you haven't finished yet. So when you become frustrated, you can go back to that sheet, that homework sheet, and you can see the progress has been made. I did that all the way through, whether I worked as a DON, a DON. We always track because there's so many things we have to do on a daily basis. And that's where I learned that process from. But then I applied it to my own personal life, and it has been effective.
Yeah.
Write down everything, what you want now, later, what you need, what's broken the house, when the light bill due, the water bill due, what class you're going to sign up, everything that you want to manifest in your life, it should be wrote down. And then every day, make it your business to do at least one thing on that list. I promise you, even if you do one thing a day, it will come to pass. The problem is people go weeks and months and then they fall, and then they go back to it. Then they go 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and they go back to it. You got to be consistent every day. One thing, even if you work full time. So I work. I'm always doing something, but I always make time either in the morning or late at night to do what the things that I need to do for me, the things I
Mhm.
need to do for my own personal business. It's great to have a job and work for people, but that's not what it's all about. You take their money and you fuel your dreams. That's what you should be doing. Not living out, not helping them live out their dream. You should be using that money to fuel some of it, a little piece of it to fuel your own dream. Even if it's $25 a week, $50, it doesn't matter where you start. It's all about where you finish. So I would create a homework sheet today, right now, everything you want to happen in your life, what steps you need to do for that to happen, and then every day do one thing. It might be a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now. Even like with my DMP, I started my DMP in 2018, and of course, I've buried children along the way and things. My graduation was January 2025. That's 6 years. It is what it is. It's typically a 2 or 3 year program. It took 6 years to happen, but it's here. It happened. I'm present. So how do I get through obstacles? I do one thing every day. Good. No matter what happens, even if it's just making a phone call, hey, I'm inquiring about this. Do one thing every day and it will come to pass.
I love that. And if I could add to that, and I'm just going to add this because I received that advice a while ago from many people. And I write everything down. So, like,
Mm.
even to this day, I keep my bills like bi-weekly and monthly and what's coming out. I got an expense. I'm very, organized that way. But what I also learned was that for me, I'm one of those people, it's not real until I can see it, right? If I can't see it, thinking it is great, but you're going to forget. Like you said, it's not something that you're going to pay attention to. You have nothing to keep you accountable. That's what it is.
You want to have that sheet, and I take it everywhere I go. It's on the clipboard. Everywhere I go, that homework sheet in the calendar, it's right there. And that's that constant reminder that, okay, I got to get these things done. Now, one thing every day is fine. Some days I might have a little bit more time and I might do 5 things on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Or, on break week. So I teach at a nursing college. When we're out for a week, I might get a lot of things done because it's break week. But when you're in the hustle and bustle, just make sure you do at least one thing every day. And then another thing is, I don't make no excuses. I don't make no excuses. It is what it is. You'll never see a time where I say, "Oh, I didn't do this because my daddy died," or "I didn't do this because my sister died," or "I didn't do this because my nephew or my niece died." Self accountability. So if I get an F, I just get an F. I'm not gonna go call and talk and call the dean and write a 20-page paper what the teacher did to me. I didn't do my work.
Mm-hmm.
Now there may be a valid reason why, but this it still don't matter. It still wasn't done.
Mm-hmm.
So and so those who are successful, we show up and we get it done. So if you truly want to be successful, get it done, no matter what it is. Like if I've made a commitment, it's some days I'm up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, got to be to work at 7. It doesn't matter. The commitment has been made. I got to get it done. It's a deadline. It's over. And
Mm-hmm.
that makes the difference between those that are successful and not successful. Oh, I got to get my rest. That's why you ain't successful.
Get
I'm sorry.
up. Get
If you
up.
you had something you had to do and you're gonna let it crumble because you need a few hours of sleep, get it done and sleep after. Sleep after, especially if you really want it.
Yep.
I mean, you just got to get it done. I hear students tell me all the time, "Well, I go to bed at 8." What was your grade? What did
See,
you get on your last test?
see.
Doggone F.
This is
Great.
and this the crazy part to me, and I'm gonna just say this, and I love y'all, I do, because I love you. I'm going to say this. Stop expecting other people to show up for you when you don't show up for
You
yourself.
don't show up for yourself. Right.
You have to, and what I mean by that is, like Dr. Richmond is saying, you gave C effort but expected an A. And whether that's in your relationships, whether that's in your job, whether that's in your finances, whether that's at your church where you serve, I'm going to be honest. And that's that accountability factor. If you know you gave C effort, you should expect C response. And again, that's relationally, that's professionally. I do think there's an accountability aspect that we have to start to hone in on. Because once you're accountable, that's when you can do introspection, and that's when you grow, right? So I sometimes lack attention to detail. And I have friends who be like, girl, if you send me one more text using Siri and you don't autocorrect or spell check, we're going to have a problem. And I be like, for real? They're like, I don't know what that said, what this meant. I don't know. Please spell check. And so that's what I'm saying. You have to understand that, like, you also have a part in this. So you can't keep saying, for example, oh, they always let me down. Because my retort, if I love you, would be, so how do you show up for you?
Right.
How so they let you down. So what is our next step? And if you say, I don't know, because I'm still down, then that's when I'm going to push you to get up and start showing up for yourself.
And invest in yourself.
Invest in, absolutely.
Invest, like, I'm the number one investment. I have put more money back into me than any other thing in this world.
Yeah.
You have to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Not cars, not, it's okay to be married and all of that. But I told myself a long time ago I was not going to be married until I finished my DNP. My commitment was to me. Now, after I finish that, then I can invest in a marriage or take a relationship serious. You have to invest in yourself. Put it back into yourself. Like, I don't like car payments. I'll ride me a hoopty any day of the week. Car payments are dream killers. They're dream killers. Just imagine how much you put every month into the car payment and then the insurance on it. Just imagine if you could take them same $5, $6, $7, $8, $1,000 and put it back into your business or your goal that you want. And then after you do that and you grow your business, then go get that fabulous car that you want.
Cash.
But while you're in, right. Some 50% down, you're gonna put 40 grand or something down. But that's a lot of money. People put out a lot of money every day on car payments and stuff like that. And then they want to have this dream and do these things. Go back and look at how you are spending your money. Is it worth it? Is it worth to say I got a Mercedes or a Benz or my husband asks me every day, you want a new car? Absolutely not. You can give me that money. I can flip that money and do something with it. I don't know, sir.
Let's go on a trip. Like,
I ain't doing that. I'm trying to see. I'm going to open up another group home. Like, I'm on something else,
a different time.
No, you cannot take 40 grand to go buy a car. I can go get me a fixer upper and fix that house up and let that house be worth 250,000 and put me some people. Like, my mindset is on a whole nother level.
Next level.
I would. He'll take it right back to the store. You can give me that cash.
I hear you.
Yeah, so look at those things. I think too, people, don't try to keep up with the Joneses, because a lot of people that have these materialistic things, they struggling like a mama. They struggle, so bad. And if they die today or tomorrow, guess what? Them people come to pick all of it up, all of it. The cars, the house they renting, all of it's going to be gone. Going to be gone.
Well, thank you for that. That was it there. That was good. I appreciate it. I should have been taking some notes myself.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the earlier series that you're focused on kind of now you're in a different aspect. So we already heard the CEO, entrepreneur, boss lady speech, because that just was what that was. And it was very clear to us. But bringing in the next generation, what would you like to see them do that you haven't, I won't even say that you haven't seen in your journey yet, but you see society, you see what some of the, I won't say maybe your children, but maybe some of the children you teach. So you understand what's out here. Like, what would you like give to what would you like to see the next generation do that's not really, we're not seeing right now?
Oh man.
I know that's very big. It's a big question. It's full.
it's full and it's heartbreaking at the
Yeah.
same. Young people, I would love to see them love themselves more. Just love themselves more. Of course, being more respectful uh, to older people and elderly people, and then being open to understand that the previous generations did not have the type of opportunities that a lot of the young people have today. We didn't have, the baby boomers didn't, they worked. They didn't always have the time to go to college or to finish
Mhm.
high school. And then you have millennials. We work.
Mhm.
We grew up in an era where we didn't have social media. It came when we became adults. So, and then to have fun. Like, I remember growing up and we had fun. We played foursquare, tetherball. We were at the Boys and Girls Club from sunrise to sundown. These kids don't know what good old fashioned fun is. They don't know how to skate. We jumped fences. We just did every foosball, pool. We did everything that kids were supposed to do. We didn't have Zephyrhills water. We drank the water from
The whole.
the hose. That's the best water there is, and the coldest. That coldest water was everything. Like, I don't. They don't have fun. Like, even when they go out and they're having parties. Like, I've thrown birthday parties and different things for like my kids and stuff. Everybody's standing on the wall. Nobody's dancing.
Mhm.
Like, everybody's on their phone. There's no engagement. I would just wish they, engage more in people, be kind to one another and other people.
Mhm.
You know, be aware that every generation was raised different is going to be important. And then legacy. You have a lot of people. That's one of the things I worry about with my own kids. And I tell them all the time, as you guys get older, I'm looking to see who's going to take the ownership of this land. And if it's nobody, I'm going to sell it and just keep my money and go into retirement. But if somebody shows ownership, I have to turn it over to somebody. I have to turn
Mhm.
over my entire trust to somebody. And right now, I don't know who that somebody is, which is kind of heartbreaking because I've worked so hard to get here and not to be able to turn it over. And not to say, they're still young; they're all in their late teens, their early 20s. But someone is going to have to show ownership and say, okay, um, you know, I can take over this land, I can manage it, I can take care of it, I can pay. You know, I make enough money to pay the bills to keep the upkeep of it.
Right.
So, but a lot of kids don't care about legacy like that. They want the high rise apartment in Miami or whatever, or they want to live in the city, or that's too much work. I don't want to manage that much land. So I would hope and pray that somewhere in their spirit, legacy um, touches them, and they know that we've worked hard to leave them these things,
Mhm.
and for them to lose them or not value them is really heartbreaking.
And I agree. I mean, my oldest is 24 now. And I think what I've seen in him is that you've probably already planted the seed. The tree is growing. By the time it's time for you to break ground somewhere else, that tree will be ready. That's what I've seen. I've seen like when you do the work, we're not seeing the evidence kind of in that 18 to 22,
Yeah, yeah.
24. It's and then after you're like, oh, you were listening. So
And I'm
I'm
praying
I'm speaking life over that. That'll happen.
that somebody step up and is up for the challenge.
No, I love that. Okay, well, we're going to see if there are any comments in the chat, or if you have comments, please drop them in the chat. Um, so, do you have a message for those like you who have accomplished so much and are trying to figure out where to go from here? So, now we're not speaking to the person who's stuck. We're speaking to the person that's kind of where you are, maybe successful in a different realm, but also an entrepreneur. Do you have anything to say to like that person?
Mm, um, I would just say keep going,
Mhm.
right? You started the journey. There's no need to give up now. So yeah, just keep going, keep thriving. Listen to your inner self, and Make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's.
Pay
Make sure-
taxes.
Right. Right.
And then so I think that goes along with anybody looking to branch out in entrepreneurship, kind of just do it and get
Make
your.
sure you got a trust.
Mhm.
Absolutely pay your taxes. And I just told my husband. I'm sorry. I just told my husband. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get a bookkeeper. Don't try to do everything yourself. That's what I'm gonna tell him. Right? Don't, because sometimes you'll end up paying more money trying to save money. I actually have been through that. Keeping up with my own bookkeeping and so forth when it comes to taxes, and then Uncle Sam said, "Well, no, we ain't counting this and we ain't counting that." I'm like, "What you mean you ain't counting this and you ain't counting that?" So bookkeepers, if you're making really good money, get your bookkeeper or let someone else track it, because what you think may be tax deductible, especially if you're audited, they may not think is tax deductible. And then also keep in mind those penalties are so high that you probably should have just paid that bookkeeper anyway, because you're going to pay them an extra 8 grand. Could have paid the bookkeeper 2,500. So like, get help where you need it when it comes to like your taxes and your finances and stuff like that. Try to get, we do as small business owners, we want to try to keep as much money in house, but sometimes it's not even worth it.
Mhm. So I have a comment from 0227 Michelle, and she says she thinks trust in God is where she falls short, but turning her pain into a positive looks like probably something she's trying to work on.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we all I think have different reasons for why trust in God can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that sometimes can, stem from trauma, or, at one point, praying for something that didn't happen, or thinking, that things should have worked out different. And I, a long time ago, had to learn that like his will is different.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you won't get what you pray for because that's just not his will for the situation,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard.
Or
Um,
he has something far bigger than what you're praying for.
mhm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, but I think it's mindset too. You have to be open minded. Again, don't a lot of people hold on to their traumas and stuff. You got to let that stuff go because it weighs you down. And you want to be at some point like an eagle where you can fly and you can see things clear from the sky. But if you're holding on to and weighing down all that baggage and it's collected in your spirit, that causes chronic diseases, mental health issues. You got to let it go. You have to forgive, for yourself. Let it go. Some people, you talk to them and they're telling you something that happened 30 years ago. You know how much you could have accomplished if you would have just forgiven whoever did what. And you don't have to talk to them or anything, but you have to move on from those things because that's the baggage that's keeping you down. It's all that weight of things that people have done. But people have done a lot of things to me too. But hey, I'm winning.
Hmm. Yeah.
Who they ain't win in the end, you know what I'm saying? So, life is a teacher. Karma is real. You don't hold on to that stuff. Forgive them, move on, because God gonna catch up with them. They'll
Yeah.
catch up with them when you see them. They're like, "Oh yeah, I seen such and such. He just blew his engine. His transmission just went out. Karma." Okay, he on rode around in your car for years and tore up your stuff. Now his car, whatever. Just an example.
No,
But
yeah. No.
karma comes back around. Don't hold on to that stuff. Let them people go. Move on. Even if it was related to money, we can't take it with us when we leave. All we can take is who we are, our character. Remain and have good character. And but we all got to answer to God and go to God for ourselves. So
Hmm.
whatever people have done to you, they will answer for it in the end. I hope they repent, but that's not for you to hold on to. You need to focus on how you're going to get to heaven. You can't be focused on what they did and he did this to me. Okay, you're still here. Your heart is still beating. You're alive. You're beautiful. You woke up today. Let's move forward. Let's do
Absolutely.
something different.
Absolutely. Well, along those lines, because Dr. Richmond is so fabulous, I am going to bring up a few things to share with the group, if I can. Oh, she may have to drop them for me again. So, Dr. Richmond, if you could just add how the group can get in touch with you, because I think when you came off, they are not here anymore. You're on flyer. So, if the group wants to know how they can reach you on your socials or.
Let's see. So on TikTok, it's Dr. Tanika J, Jae on TikTok. On Facebook, it is Tanika Jackson Richmond on Facebook. Also, I have Little Angels business page that you can reach me at. And then I think I am just putting up some, if you want the website, I just put up some of the flyers of the different classes that I teach. So you can hit the QR code on any of those flyers and it'll actually take you to the full website page. So you can do that. Or you can Google me. I'm on Google as well. Any of those things. I love to hear from people. So there, any of those. But any of the QR codes will take you to my business page, to my mentoring page. So I own Little Angels Heavenly Hands as is the group home. Little Angels Mobile CPR training and healthcare consultant. And then I also own Jackson-Richmond Properties LLC and a live scan business, live scan with DC Rich. So those are all the different companies and services that we have.
And so I'm going to bring Miss Cooper back on stage. Here we are. Hi. So we're going to go through and we're going to thank everybody who joined us this evening before we jump off and see if the three of us ladies have any last words for the audience. So I want to thank Verna Johnson, 3545, for joining us. At Glam Dolls Boutique, thank you as always for being here. At 227 Michelle, you are beautiful. I love you and thank you for being here. Who else do we have? And then at one Noah's mom for joining us. Thank you. And to anybody else who may be watching this after the live, we thank you. Did you ladies have any last thoughts for the audience before we log off tonight?
Just thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story. I hope to hear from some of you guys in the future. So thank you again for having me. I appreciate you.
The same for me. I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to grace them to answer any questions and to talk a little bit about who I am and how I became and how I'm becoming, the person that I am meant to be. Cannot wait to speak to everyone next month.
Yes, and we will see you next month, Ms. Cooper. Dr. Jackson-Richmond, thank you so much for your time, for your story, and for sharing. To the audience, you know how it goes. Thank you for joining the AhaVah Effect tonight. Love y'all. Later.
Later.
All right.